Hello and welcome to the Final Frontiersmen, a YouTube channel about all things Trek with a heavy focus on the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. Today is one of our special interview episodes, and as you can see on screen, we have a very special guest. We've been blessed with great guests so far in our short lifespan as a channel here, and this is no different. I think most of you out there for sure recognize the man who is joining me today, Mr. Seán Ferrick. Would you like to introduce yourself and welcome to the Final Frontiersmen?
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for just inviting me in general. You're very, very kind. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. I love time zones. So we spoke just before. So you have just finished your day. I am just beginning my day. And this is just exciting. I like to pretend that we're on different Federation worlds.
We're on two different planets. You know, the Federation, the whole communication array. I mean, it works wonders. Look how far we are. You're in the past, Stephen.
I like. What are things like in the future? I mean, do we figure everything out? Is everything good?
It rains later, I can tell you that.
I live in Ireland. That's that's fine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Uh,
But it's ash rain here. It's covered with volcanic ash, so it just makes everything worse.
that's terrifying.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But
Yeah.
enough about the volcano. No, thank you so much for joining. You are the generous one for coming. Again, like I said, I think so many people watching this, if not everyone watching this on our channel, already knows who you are. You do so much as... you are like the avatar of the modern Trekkie. You represent, I think, all of us in what you do by showcasing all the stuff that is now out with the so many new Trek TV shows. I mean, we are just swimming in Trek. They're kind of dropping off one by one, but hopefully it's coming back a little, and got good news about Prodigy. So I mean, that's encouraging. But I want to thank you for all you do, and just again, thank you for coming here. It's going to be interesting hearing what you have to say about Star Trek.
You are so kind. No, really, like, thank you so much. And it's so funny because I mean, I've been a Trekkie all my life. So like what you just said is like the Trekkie inside me is just like, that's so kind, and also really cool.
But you definitely earned it. I mean, the things you do, as again, you're like a representative of the fandom. And your passion is just so apparent when you watch TrekCulture on YouTube. Just every episode is so entertaining. So thank you very much for that. But you said that you've been Trekkie all your life, so let's just jump into that. What got you into Star Trek?
It is 100% my dad's fault.
Your dad's
So
fault. Okay.
yeah, we can blame him. The blame lies squarely at his feet. So dad was, is a Trekkie and has been, since Star Trek started. And when I was only little, I mean when I was 2 or something like that, he would have Star Trek on. We would have reruns of the original series, and Next Gen, I don't remember it super well, but I know we were watching it,
Okay.
as I was a weein, because I like my first Star Trek in the cinema experience. I remember vividly, which was going to see Generations.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it was so good. It
Yeah.
was so good. Yeah, that was a good day. But like I remember things like watching Emissary for the first time. Memory starts to get a bit clearer once Voyager kicks in.
Yeah.
The old memory engrams start to get a bit stronger. But in a way, it's like Dad introduced me to this franchise, little realizing the monster he was creating, and it's just been ever since. I mean, like as I said, I caught, it was right at the very end of it, but I caught Next Gen, and then all of DS9, all of Voyager. I do, because I believe in accountability. I was one of those people who watched the first season and a half of Enterprise as it was airing,
Yeah.
And then I went through, let's say, my difficult experimental phase, where I might have gone away from Star Trek for a little while.
Okay.
And but like things like that, I got to watch Buffy the Vampire
Right,
Slayer,
right,
and
yeah.
you
There's a lot
know,
more
this
out
is
there. There's more than Trek. Hard to believe, but there is, yeah.
exactly. And around that time, I even caught one of those, those films with the priests with the light swords. I even caught those in the
Yeah.
cinema.
Yeah, I've heard people mention that in passing. Not sure exactly what that's about, but I'm sure somebody's interested in that, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Dallas. Anyway, so but yeah, and then kind of I think it was a bit of a funny one because Star Trek is a bit like excuse me, it's a bit like a security blanket.
Yeah.
I went away for a few years and did my went traveling.
Mm.
And then when I came back, there was Star Trek. And it was it before JJ? I think it was before JJ that I kind of, started to fan the flames of my current obsession.
Mm.
But the JJ films really, really helped reignite it.
Yeah.
And then I think it was, yeah, as we went into the 20 teens, I was gone. That's it. I mean, I became
Yeah.
what I am today. It's like, is he all right? He's there reeling star dates off, and is everything okay? But yeah, so it's literally been with me all my life.
That's wonderful that you've had it that long. It's good. Like, it's generational. It's passed down from your father, passed to you. It's a family thing. That so you started with the original series. Then you were a fan of the old '60s series, and you just flowed into everything that came. That's as natural as it gets, isn't it?
I mean, I think so, and I think as well because to the younger crowd who are watching this, we used to have to wait for broadcast. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there was
Oh
none
yeah.
of this streaming nonsense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you mean you can pick the episode you're watching? No, you watch the one that's being
Right.
broadcast. That's
Right.
the episode. And over here we got so we do get BBC, the UK channel is broadcast terrestrially here, and they did the original series. They would screen that, and ooh, excuse me, it's been a week. Sorry.
And it's early for you.
Uh,
It's very early morning where you are there, or morning where you are there.
that's it. But to be fair, like, and I believe in accountability. I've no excuse, folks. It's 10:20 in the morning. I have no excuse. Um,
That's a
but yeah,
reasonable
so I
time.
would.
Wake up, yeah.
I agree. It's a reasonable time to be awake. Wake
Yeah.
up is.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So I would watch it on broadcast there, and actually, funnily enough, sorry, I'm doing full stream of conscious now.
No,
But
please.
funnily enough, I missed episodes because they weren't broadcast on BBC.
Interesting.
There was
Content-wise, is that why? Ah,
content-wise.
okay.
So for the original series, there was episodes like the Empath, for example,
Mm.
wasn't broadcast. Certainly when I was watching it.
Okay.
And like the reason behind it being, it's a great episode. Actually, I did a rewatch of it there recently because it's one of those episodes that sort of comes up on controversial lists.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, controversial in Star Trek. Let's have a look at this,
Yeah.
And it's actually a fabulous stage play.
Mm.
Now obviously you've got your inserts and your Enterprise, but it is effectively, it's a black box theater play, but it's very heavy for the whole episode. And in that respect, it's quite for the 60s. I mean, it's quite surprising for Star Trek that you have something that's like there's a lot of torture going on in this episode. But it's a fantastic McCoy episode. And I know I'm on a tangent here, but it's it's like, oh, very cool. So I missed that maybe the first time round, and then the nonsense of streaming has helped me kind of get back to episodes like that, because streaming, at the moment, certainly original series right up to Enterprise are available on Netflix here.
Okay.
So you can watch them all. And then, after that you start to be like, what's on Paramount and what's on where. And,
Yeah. So you didn't get to see the Empath until streaming? Was it that long, or did you catch it on VHS or DVD when it was released?
I feel, it's one of those ones where I feel like I saw it, but I know I didn't see it that time.
Okay.
It's like, because the aliens are quite distinct. Like, you kind of like, oh yes,
you would remember, yeah.
Exactly. So, but as with a lot of original series, and I have to say, and with a lot of the animated series, which again, that was broadcast, I think it was Saturday mornings on BBC as well. Basically, big up BBC. Thanks very much. But that would have been, I think I would have caught it very early 90s.
Okay.
And then, a few years later, I would have caught them again. So yeah, that's definitely one of the great things of streaming, is having things handy to you.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Because I remember I'd have to race home from wherever I was playing to try to record the episodes that were like playing whatever channel on syndication, so I could have them at any time to watch, because that was the streaming back then, the VCR tapes. So now that the current generation of fans, like if you want to get into Star Trek, it's right there at your fingertips, and you get the whole entire franchise basically. Like in Japan too, I think it's probably the same thing. Currently they have on Netflix everything from original series to Enterprise. Yeah, that's all still on Netflix now. Paramount Plus is coming to Japan, I think, next month or December for the first time. So it's going to be interesting to see if anything shifts around. But it's nice to have it all in one central place where you could just access it.
For sure. I mean, that's the dream, is having. It'd be wonderful to have one place where we can watch all of Star Trek, the home of Star Trek.
Yeah.
God, wouldn't that be
Wouldn't
nice?
that be nice? And it's a good catchpitch too for a thing. If only someone comes up with that.
Right? Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We should pitch that idea.
Yeah.
Oh, Prodigy.
that hurts. But again, like we said, it's found its home again, coincidentally, on Netflix, coming to there. So is that going to be global? Is that going to just be in the US? Are there going to be different deals worked out? Like, I don't know how it is in Ireland or elsewhere in the world, but we had Picard on Amazon Prime. Picard and what was it? Lower Decks is Amazon Prime. All the old series on Netflix. Discovery was Netflix, but then they took it off. And Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, still nothing, but that's coming with Paramount Plus later this year.
Yeah, exactly the same here.
Oh, same. So yeah, it must be like their international deal. But yeah, having them all together would be wonderful. Would be nice. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we're going to get what we need. If I can just a little while we're still talking about our love for Star Trek and the series and that, can I just ask you, do you to rattle off your favorites? Like, do you have favorite series, episode, character, uniform? I mean, we are lovers of uniforms, that's for sure.
We totally are, and like I say again, love your Admiral's uniform. I love it.
Thank you for dressing up for this. I did send a message yesterday and like, should we wear a uniform? And you said, go and think about it. So like, oh please have a uniform. So thank you for dressing up.
You are very welcome. Thank you for giving me an outlet for my obsession.
That's what this channel's about. Yeah.
Excellent, cool. Yeah, I mean, like, let's, everyone give in to your obsession. Wait, hang on, the phrasing of that. But actually, it's the easy answer. So my favorite series, DS9, and my favorite episode, The Visitor.
So good, yeah.
Oh God, I love that. Just everything about it is just. This is it. In there's no space battles. There's no, I mean, there's a lot of, what's the word, technobabble. There's a lot of that, but at its core, it's about people, and specifically, it's about a father and son, and yeah, that episode,
I shed a
that
tear
one,
every time. It's beautiful.
right? I like everyone is brilliant in it,
Yeah.
but I mean, Tony Todd is just,
Yeah, he did great as the older Jake.
uh, just
Yeah.
fantastic. It's also it's funny because this is, let's see, the emissary comes out 93, so we're about 96, 97.
Hmm.
So there's a generation of people who are like, the Candyman is making me
Yeah.
cry, but
Yeah.
not for scary reasons,
Yeah.
and I'm very confused right now.
Yeah. That was, I think, my first take when that episode aired. Was it, well, just a very, very, very weird anecdote. I misread an article in the TV Guide before that episode was coming out, and I was under the impression it was going to be Sirach Lofton in like old makeup. I thought I was playing him, and when it's going like, he looks so much like the Candyman. This cannot be Sirach Lofton. And then, yeah, before the episode finished, like my brain kicked in and I realized what was happening. But yeah, he's so good. Dramatic portrayal.
Oh, just like, I mean, the whole episode, but of course, that final scene between old Jake and Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, floods of tears every
Yeah.
time, floods
Yeah.
of tears.
Exactly.
And it's not just that it's a fantastically written and performed episode. It's that you like. So think about it. This is a guest star of the week who is a fantastic performer. But sometimes when you're only getting introduced to somebody for the first time, it's hard to get the proper, the weight that they're going for.
Mm.
Star Trek makes you care about character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With everything, with all the phasers and the tricorders and everything, it makes you care about character. So, yes, we were seeing the Candyman and Ben Sisko in that house together, but what we were seeing was Jake and Ben, who had spent 4 seasons or 3 and a bit seasons, being father and son, being so important. And it was just like, wow. I mean, I remember, because it's yeah, the kind of the clear memories of Star Trek kind of kick in early to mid 90s. And because I remember we were all just kind of catching our breath after Way of the Warrior at this
Oh
point.
yeah. Yeah.
Worf is here, and we have, oh my god, the Klingons are everywhere, and it was a bottle show. It was, let's save some money.
Mm-hmm.
And then we watch it. It was like, Star Trek, why you do this? Why you hurt me so? Fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
I agree. Yeah, good choice. That's a wonderful choice. And
what is your favorite episode?
My favorite episode, I have to say, my favorite is Yesterday's Enterprise from Next Generation. I mean, I love so many episodes, but for that one, it has so many different elements of what I really like about Star Trek mixed into one, including science fiction stuff, technobabble stuff, but the character drama, and like you have this whole alternate version of the crew who are willing to sacrifice themselves. You get Tasha Yar back just instantly from this new timeline, and then she's ready to just sacrifice herself, and just the strength of character and the strength of performances that are in that episode, and you feel the weight of what that they realize their lives aren't supposed to be like that. They are not supposed to exist, and they're ready to make the biggest move and just erase it all for the sake of a better future. And that's what Star Trek's about, like doing what you need to make the future better for everyone. And wouldn't you sacrifice yourself if it meant you were going to have that positive utopian future that everyone dreams of? It's just it's not as emotional as an episode like The Visitor, but just as an all around, like everything that just really hits me hard about Star Trek, I find it in Yesterday's Enterprise.
I love it. I mean, like, it's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it hits all the right notes. But I love what you just said there, that, you know, wouldn't we all sacrifice ourselves for the chance of a better future? And that is that episode to a T.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I do love that one. Again, it's one of those ones, sometimes, right, when you say, you know, I love, yes, that is Enterprise or Best of Both Worlds, you know, kind of the episodes that are always topping all of these lists. Because it comes up a lot, people go like, you know, oh yeah, no, of course, like,
Yeah.
no, there's a reason these episodes always come up. There's a reason
Yes.
that they are as good as they are. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And the thing is, we have so much Star Trek now that there are so many, not even runner-ups, but contenders for greatest episode in everyone's opinion because of this reason or that reason. So it's fun to hear everyone's idea of what they love the best and what their best episode is, and like I can't fault anyone for their choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, obviously the best episode overall is Threshold.
Well,
Because
yeah,
we
I
like
mean,
we like us some lizard babies.
well, it was nice to see like a new family come together, and
Exactly.
I did like the animatronic lizards in Lower Decks recently. That did bring a smile to my face. But and I also love on Twitter and a lot of the conventions. I never gone to a convention. I've never been to one. But watching the videos on YouTube, I love how frequently that comes up. On the Voyager panels about their lizard babies. So I'm glad nobody's willing to let that fade into obscurity because, yeah, Threshold top tier right there.
100%. There was actually it's gone out of my memory now which panel it was, but one of the Voyager reunion was possibly the first time they were all together. Um, I I'm sure somebody will be typing in the comments going, it was this one, so please, because it's forgotten it. Sorry, I'm mumbling. Someone asked Kate Mulgrew basically, you know, what was, you know, some years have gone by, what do you think of Threshold? And she called it the most erotic moment in all of Star Trek. And I thought, I mean, talk about, right, commit to the bit.
Yeah.
I love it. Commit to the bit. Emmy
Yeah.
award-winning episode as well. I don't
Oh.
know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it won the Emmy for makeup.
I did not realize that. Well, the makeup was good in it. I mean, if you like divorce the plot from the technical aspect of it, yeah. I mean, they did a wonderful job there.
That's it. You know, it's one of those ones. It's so silly. I mean, at this stage, right? Because it's so weird to think of watching it for the first time, because like, you know, we watched it
Yeah.
30 years ago. But yeah, moving on. It's like, you know, the first 3/4 of the episode, pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a good story. It's very Star Trek. You know, kind of like technology goes wrong and everything. It's just that kind of the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
act goes a little bit off the rails,
It's like,
and it
huh?
goes so off the rails that we're kind of talking about it this
Exactly.
many years
30
later.
years later. Yeah.
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 But yeah, it's good. And in fairness to Robert Duncan McNeil, I mean, he commits.
Yo, he did. He did. A little too much, perhaps, but yeah, he did.
That bit where, you know, the as an actor he pulled out his own tongue, I thought, you know what,
Well,
dedication to the
not
craft.
not everyone can do that. So I mean, it does show a wide range of skill that he has. So yeah, bravo to him. Let's give a round of applause. And I'm glad
Absolutely,
he got it back in the next episode. He was fine. So that's talent.
that was fun. That was like it was nice to see the lizard babies in Lower Decks, because
Yeah.
you would think that maybe it would be something that would possibly come up in discussion again at some point
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Somewhere.
or, you know,
But well,
yeah, you know.
apparently it's noted because it's in the museum. So it caught on in Starfleet somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine that, actually. Imagine being Tom Paris or Admiral Janeway, and you know, you're bringing your family to the Voyager Museum, and you walk past the exhibit of the lizard babies, and you know, your child or your grandchild says, what's that one about? And you're like, I do not have the time to get into it right now. That was look. We were in the Delta Quadrant. Stuff got weird.
Yeah. Yeah. What happens in the Delta Quadrant stays in the Delta Quadrant. It's like the Vegas of space, right?
Exactly. Oh, poor Tuvix.
Oh yeah, and again revisited Lower Decks. We get that very contentious episode that, like you said, all these years later, people are still talking about it. People are still debating it, and some debates are heated, especially on social media. People are very serious about the sides they take. So it was fun seeing that reflected in Lower Decks by
Mm.
people basically mirroring the two different sides, but in a slightly more reasonable Star Trek way. But I'm glad they're bringing this stuff back for us to maybe maybe settle all these mixed emotions we've been having all these years.
I agree because and you are absolutely correct. The discussions can get rather heated. Um, I know, which is shocking for social media.
Yeah,
Totally shocking.
rare.
Um, you're very right. Yeah, it's it is as rare as a supernova. In the episode "The Q and the Grey," but that's I suppose. But the positive side of that is it is an example of these are episodes that are, yeah, let's commit. They're about 30 years old, obviously older when it comes to the original series, and people care. That to me is a sign of good writing.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I
it,
agree with
it
that
is
completely.
for sure, a strong story is timeless.
Yeah, and including the episode called Timeless.
Yes.
That's a very strong one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please go on.
I was just going to say, as of recording, we're still obviously waiting on the Voyager documentary from the people who
Yes,
made
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
We Left Behind and everything. But I'm on the mailing list, and just this week I got an email, an image. They are remastering
Yes, I
some
saw
footage, and
that. Yeah, yeah.
that
Speaking
was
of timeless images, yeah, that's definitely one that's going to be remembered for a long time. So I'm looking for. I have the Deep Space Nine documentary that was so good, and now I'm just waiting for Voyager. Uh, so I think it's early next year right now, slated according to the last announcement.
that will be fingers crossed because I
Fingers
think
crossed. Yeah.
I might be completely wrong, but I think they had completed
Mm,
all of their interviews before the strike started.
mm,
So in that respect, like they have the footage,
mm.
now it's just the piecing everything together and doing the remastering. Um, because yes, again, as of recording, SAG is still very much on strike, and
Yeah.
so no one is sitting down to give interviews on things like Star Trek. So
No. And
so yeah,
for
so
good reason too, because this is a very
absolutely,
important issue. Yeah.
it really is. I suppose just to kind of address that, like one of the big questions is the use of AI when
Yeah.
it comes to performance, which is just one of the questions. But like this idea of you turn up on day one, they scan you, and then that's it, you're sent home. But they have it. It's just no,
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 right? That's scary.
yeah, yeah, it is a little bit. AI, like it's a tool like any other tool, and I'm not against it in that respect, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's when it begins to replace um be it performers or writers or artists,
Yeah.
um because there is I won't name them. There is a convention at the moment which has just released their logo, and it's very clearly AI generated,
Too
and
many
it's like,
fingers?
come on. Do you know what? Funnily enough, although it's not fingers, you're thinking in the right
Okay.
lane.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just like, come on, don't do people out of their
Right.
livelihood.
Right.
That's the big thing. It's like people train, people are talented, and let's not take that away from people.
Exactly. Like because talented people or artistic people, they have a skill and they love to demonstrate it. They love to perform. They love to hone their craft. And using something like AI, which I agree with you completely, like it's a good tool. It's great for support. It's great for maybe streamlining things, but to take away someone's livelihood, no, come on. There's a definite clear line that shouldn't be crossed.
Yep, it's like, yeah, it's, imagine replacing every single doctor in Starfleet with a hologram. You just wouldn't do it.
No, no,
You know,
no.
you know. I mean, like, we're just not going to think of, we love the EMH.
We do, but we also love our other doctors, do we not?
We definitely do. I mean, Ta'ana is really rushing towards
oh
the
my,
top
yeah,
of my list.
yeah. Oh, she is so fun. That there's so many new characters, and like, well, again, with your show doing TrekCulture all the time, you get to focus pretty much on all the new Star Trek that comes out as it's coming out. So what? How about this? So let me ask you this because I'm curious. So since you are there and you're really analyzing all the new stuff in Star Trek, what do you think this new era of Star Trek, that some people call New Trek, but this new era of Star Trek we're living in now, what do you think it has contributed to the franchise to grow this franchise that we did not get in the older stuff with the way back in the original series, of course, when it was just a TV show just trying to be, and then the whole next generation era that kind of solidified what a lot of fans think is Star Trek. But now we have this whole new era. Is there anything you've noticed coming out, because you see it all so clearly? Like what has it added to the franchise that you think is great?
Um, See, it's in a way it's funny because there's a lot of answers to that. And you know, variety, accessibility.
Mm,
Um, there really is, more so than ever before. There is something for everyone.
yeah.
Let's say, for example, that you can't stand lower decks.
Mm,
Well, sorry, because you got Strange New Worlds,
yeah.
and like Discovery is the best thing you've ever watched, and yet somebody else is like, actually, I love Prodigy. And it is, and of course, then for us nostalgia hounds, it's just like, oh, just Picard, just put Picard into my eyeballs, and it's one of them. There is so much variety, and also, I mean, we have never ever had as much Star Trek available to us,
Mm,
because that is for all of the the many kerfuffles about streaming. Like if I want to sit down and watch basically any episode of Star Trek right now, and also just don't forget physical media,
yes,
folks.
yeah. Oh, that's
I
great.
currently have. I'm delighted with that one now, I have to say. But with that, and the movies and everything, is that you have your choice to watch from the cage right up to this week's episode of Lower Decks. I mean, it's all there, it's all available, and that is wonderful. I mean, if you want to, what's the word, indoctrinate your children into Star Trek, you have
Yeah.
all these options. You have your prodigies, and you have your Lower Decks, but you also have your next gen. You
Yep.
also, because one of the things that some of the some of the good natured, kind of like struggling with, say Discovery or Strange New Worlds or what have you,
Mm,
is that if it's not your cup of tea, if you don't like, all of the Star Trek that's come before is still there.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and it is, it's lovely because, look, listen, I'm not going to tell you I loved every single episode that's been released since 2017. Of course I haven't,
Mm.
but it hasn't changed how I feel about The Visitor, Yesterday's Enterprise, or or Threshold. And it is, so that is wonderful. So I guess this is my sort of long and rambling answer to your question is, what it's given us is even more variety. Some episodes have given us kind of like almost like a prism to look back at earlier Star Trek as well, and it's brought it to a new generation.
Yeah, definitely.
And yes, I physically, kind of like, oh God, what do you mean I'm not the youngest generation? Oh no, I'm not ready for that feeling yet. No,
Yeah.
I'm still the kid. I'm still the kid watching Star Trek. But no, that is a fabulous thing that there are young people who are now coming into Star Trek for the first time and experiencing the slightly daunting task of nearly 900 hours of content.
It's
And
impressive.
it is. I mean, I know my nephew, or one of my nephews, for example, would do that in a week. He'll have 3 screens playing every day, and he'll catch it all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
it's pretty impressive.
It's impressive, and it's encouraging that, like you say, it's bringing a new generation in. It's bringing in people who probably never even considered watching the old Star Trek because it was basically finished before a lot of them were born. So they might not even think about going back. But now they have not only, like you said, the variety is so good. There's something for everybody. If you don't like this type of Star Trek, there's this available. But if they like that, that's the motivation to go back and see what came before. See if you like that too. So yeah, that's one of the that's why I can't really get mad, or that's why I can't really, the things I don't like about newer Star Trek, there's, like you said, I not every episode's a winner, and there's something like, that doesn't work for me. But I can't get mad because it's working for someone else. It's doing what it's supposed to do to make a new fan out of this person. I'm already a fan, so I could just pick the flavor of Trek that I want. But there needs to be a variety for everyone. So yeah, you're right. The new Trek, the new era of Star Trek really has something for everyone. So that can't complain about that. That's always going to be a good thing.
Yeah, that like that's it. And if you don't like it, watch something else. If you love it, watch it on repeat, because I know I do.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine. And also, I mean, the conversations that come out of this, like so Discovery Discovery's probably the one that has elicited the strongest reactions of the fandom in from all sides.
Yeah.
And to quote Oscar Wilde, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
That's very good. Yeah, that's perfect for it. Yeah, I love that.
So yeah. I just I think I have that imprinted on my forehead because it's true. If imagine a world where Discovery come out, no one cared.
That would be heartbreaking. That would be. I think, as heated as some of the discussions get, I think that would be far worse if it just evaporated. So I guess we should be glad that people are that passionate that they keep talking about it. I also I did not really care for it. The first season confused me, and then I started watching the second one, and I did not get far, and I thought, I'm not really sure what this is, and I backed away. And I finally, when I caught COVID, I decided to binge the whole thing, and I was happy that I did. I became I wouldn't call myself a fan, but I liked what it was, and I liked what it did for Star Trek, and there's a lot of episodes I really really enjoyed. So it just needed me to take a step back and come again with fresh eyes after knowing what it is. I think it just caught me off guard when it first came out, and I was a little too negative for too long on it.
I see, that's funny because season 1, I get it. I absolutely get it. I get, the kind of like, whoa, this is dark Trek.
Oh, it's very dark, yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I was one of the people going like, those are Klingons?
Yeah, that was weird.
that was a choice. But it kind of, as a Trekkie, you kind of like just go, listen, let's see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have had to say that a few times in my head, but let's see where it goes, let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
But we got, we got there. We got to, or sorry, I'd be more fair. Less we got there, I got there. Like, right, hang on, Sean. What are you struggling with? You're struggling with the dark tone. DS9 is your favorite series. All right, Grant. You're struggling with the serialization. DS9 is your favorite series. All right, hang on here. You kind of like, so on first watch, that first half of season 1, because obviously there was that when it was airing first time around, there was that big gap in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was, I was confused. I was like, all right, okay, wow, we've really gone for it. But one thing from the opening seconds of the first episode, I remember because I was watching it with my buddy, and I turned around to him and I went, ooh, Star Trek just got a budget.
Yeah, that was apparent.
It just, I mean, I cannot fault how it looks.
Oh yeah.
It is just like, and that's one thing as well. So again, fans of a certain age will we remember original series before the remaster.
Oh yeah.
We remember that the great episode with the green hand in space. Well, really, what they were doing is they were just including the hand that's holding up the Enterprise, pushing it by the camera. Like, Star Trek has come a long way.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I was lucky enough that I had a nice TV that I was watching it on. I was like, a grand play. Yep, I'll have more of that, please.
It is beautiful. It's a spectacle, and they make the most out of it, especially the really wide shot space scenes are just so captivating. I agree with you. I can't fault them for just going all out with modern technology and a larger budget. I mean, because wouldn't you want to if you had that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's the other thing as well. Like, obviously, I have not, and unfortunately will not ever meet Gene Roddenberry. But the stories, enough people said, whatever about the Federation Klingon War, which of course it's in lore. It wasn't seen in the original series, the whole point of Discovery, but it is there. Like, it did happen. People talk about, folks, if you think Gene wouldn't have done this, if he had the technology and the money available to him, no, it's not, naive is maybe a bit harsh, but I think everyone is a bit quick to go, oh, Gene Roddenberry would hate this. No, this is, this isn't real Star Trek. And, and it's interesting because, in the original series, again, you had all they happened off screen because of budget, but you had the Federation Romulan War, which had taken place before the original series started. You had, the Klingon War, which only gets mentioned in Errand of Mercy, and then, and then you have a big space slug eating planets, like, let's not be, and so I think the big, I remember the previous big time that this conversation was had was the Dominion War. And this would be this isn't what Gene would have wanted. And it's obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, but if you think about it, it is an example of 3 of Star Trek's biggest enemies. Spoiler, I guess, if people haven't seen Deep Space Nine. But you have, by the end of it, the Federation, the Klingons, and the Romulans are all in an alliance together.
Yeah.
And these, we're talking blood enemies.
Yeah.
They're, and if that's not celebrating the idea of Idic and everyone coming together, right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's showing that there's no wall that can't be overcome. Eventually, you can find common ground with anyone, even the ones that have been the enemies for hundreds of years since before the series we originally watched. They just were baked in as enemies, and now what a hopeful way Deep Space Nine ended. And that was like the last we saw the Alpha and Beta quadrants for so long that we left
Yep.
it sort of on that note that there is this prospect of peace coming. I mean, we get little snippets in the films, the TNG films, but I thought that was a great way to wrap up Deep Space Nine. You know, you get the whole party together.
Yeah, yeah, actually, exactly. Plus, I mean, you're right. I love that scene in Vix. You know, you literally get the whole party together. You get all the,
Yeah,
you know, the
yeah,
crew, and you
yeah.
get the behind the scenes folks out of makeup and everything as well. I love that. And you know, these are again that's a real meta moment for me, because you have, like I say, you've got the production crew, and you've got guest stars appearing in that scene, and it's so Star Trek fandom
Mm,
to
yeah,
me. It's
yeah,
everyone coming together. It's kind of like a little mini convention, almost.
basically, yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I love that. Every now and again, you know, you be sitting there like, what'll I watch? I'm gonna watch that scene of what we leave behind,
yeah.
or what you leave behind. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many, and like that's a good point too. There's a lot of really good, memorable scenes that stay with you in so many episodes that sometimes you just want to see that scene again. Like you don't, you of course want to watch the whole episode, but sometimes like I just want to see that moment. I just want to relive that moment one more time. YouTube really helps a lot with that. So thank goodness for
Yes.
YouTube. Can find a lot of those scenes that people love on there. So yeah, I now you have me wanting to go back and watch that scene again. So I might be doing that as soon as we're done here. But can I
Excellent.
also ask you, what do you want to see? What do you hope to see in new Star Trek coming out?
It's a very good question. So okay, as we sit here, the new Star Trek that we know is coming is Strange New World season 3,
Yeah.
Lower Deck season 5,
Mm,
Discovery season 5,
mm,
um, Prodigy season 4. For all of the uncertainty this year, we still have a
yeah.
blooming lot of Star Trek is coming, and then it'll probably be 2025, but Starfleet Academy as well. What
Mm,
I want to see, you know, we were blessed with all of the nostalgia
mm.
that we got in Picard,
Oh
and of
yeah.
course, like,
Yeah.
you know, Lower Decks does it every week and everything. But what I want to see is I want to see new new worlds. I want to
Mm,
see new characters. It's why I like Prodigy as much as I do,
mm.
is because while it does have, you know, like, you know, you have your callbacks to Voyager and other things that have happened before. Um, it's it's a new crew. It's
Yeah.
a new story. Um, and that's what you need to do to keep a franchise going.
Yeah.
You know, um, for everything I loved about Star Trek Picard, all of the nods. I mean, hey, you know, we were blessed with our cetacean observations. Do you know what I mean? We had
Yeah.
all of our Easter eggs. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm ready for a series that we will talk about in the same breath that we talk about Voyager and
Mm,
DS9, and if that's Starfleet Academy,
mm.
brilliant.
That would be
You
nice.
know, um, because you know, I've heard, you know, bits and bobs, but there isn't really much to go on because obviously the strike stopped everything,
Yeah.
so there's very little done for it. But you know what we do know is that they're aiming for it to be funny.
Mm,
It does seem to be aimed at, you know, sort of a teen
mm.
audience, and I hear the teeth grinding on some people. I
Yeah.
hear it, and
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, I'm not here to say, you know, anyone's right or wrong
Mm.
for you know, liking or not liking. Um, but the reality is, like, let's tell good story. You know, if you got a young adult audience, okay, cool, but let's tell good stories. Let's write good episodes.
Hmm.
And yeah, look, Lower Decks is proving
Yeah.
we can have fun along the way. So strange, to be honest, Strange New Worlds. Look, I mean, the
Strange New
musical,
World,
you
yeah.
know,
So many.
yeah,
I love the was it the Elysium Kingdom And
Oh yeah.
then what was the name? Sadly, I'm waiting for the Strange New World season 2 DVD, so I don't have all the episodes memorized. What was the musical episode again?
So funny enough, because I just watched it last night.
Oh,
Subspace Rhapsody.
that's it. Thank you so much. Yeah, episodes like that, it changes things, shakes it up, and just gives you something fresh you've never seen before in Star Trek. So
That
I love that.
exactly.
Oh, that's so
I
good.
love it. There was sorry, just popping into my head. There was a very funny after the I think it was actually the trailer for the episode. So it was basically once people became aware that it was going to be a musical. I saw someone going, "Oh, Star Trek has run out of ideas." I'm like, well, if it has, it took 57 years to get there. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's not the end of the world. You know what I mean?
That's pretty above average for TV shows, you know.
Right?
57
Yeah. I
years
mean, like
before.
what rivals it? Okay, Doctor Who's been running since 1963. Yes, there was that gap in the 90s,
It's like
but
that, yes, like that. But and I don't want to throw off the topic here, but I'm so looking forward to the 60th anniversary stuff with Doctor Who. Oh my goodness. Oh,
God, I
so,
can't
yeah.
wait.
That's next month, right? That's next month, right?
Yep,
Okay,
it is indeed.
Uh,
And again, as of recording, we still don't have the air dates.
I know.
Um,
I don't. I thought they were just hiding it from Americans or something, but yeah, I can't find that information anywhere. But oh my goodness,
it's
I love we're getting a lot of refreshing things for a lot of these old things like Star Trek and Doctor Who. You know, there's a lot of exciting things coming up, and now I'm going to have to slowly change the graphics here to some TARDISes and Doctor Who stuff if I keep going on this tangent. Okay, I know we're winding down here, so I just before we go, I would be remiss if I did not bring up Star Trek Adventures because you mentioned you almost played last month. You were planning on having a game, but it didn't happen yet.
it hasn't happened yet, and I can hear my very good friend James in the back of my head being like, Sean, we keep inviting you. I'm like, I'm sorry. But I have my character built.
Okay.
And I'm ready to go. It just hasn't happened yet. But
Okay. Okay.
it's kind of it's just so much fun just to have you know this is we're Trekkies. We're used to sitting on our own in the back of a room, and everyone looks at
Yeah.
us like, all right, is your man okay over there? Like, what's going
With
on?
our uniforms on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing. Like, we may be the strange person in the corner, but we look good.
We look
Um,
fabulous. Yeah.
bloody right, yeah. But you see, this is anything that encourages community is just brilliant to me. And Star Trek Adventures, which I am told is a lot of fun, and I promise I'm going to get there. I will be playing it very, very soon.
Good.
But that to me is just so much fun, because I'm a relatively recent convert to like tabletop gaming, and I mean, in fairness, I know mates of mine are going to watch this and be like, relatively recent convert, we can't get you to bloody sit down. But and things like D&D and other role-playing games, I'm relatively new to it, so it's still a bit daunting. But again, it's for me, it's bringing more worlds together, particularly like the D&D crowd, because there is a fierce crossover. I'll tell you that right now.
That's good.
And in fact,
that's great.
I'm sure people watch and listen to this are aware of this, but there is Discovery does D&D. There is an ongoing campaign at Destination Star Trek 2019.
Okay.
No, 2021. Sorry. So yeah, it was just after things were starting to open up again after COVID, and Noah Averbach-Katz, Mary Wiseman, and who else? Who else was there? I'm a terrible human being. Detmer.
Gosh, I'm not gonna be able to recall that name. Yeah, I'm still hazy on a lot of the actors and actresses from Discovery.
Emily Coots, and I absolutely did not have to Google that. But I'm so sorry, Emily. I'm so sorry. But they did a D&D session on stage at
Oh,
Destination
that's
Star, and
beautiful. That's great. Oh,
it was
no.
brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant because in my head a long time ago, I got the idea that like, watching somebody play a game, what's to enjoy in that? It was brilliant.
It's
It
great,
was
isn't
absolutely
it?
brilliant.
It is
Yeah.
amazing. And also Todd Stashwick, uh,
Yes.
the Captain No, is a huge D&D fan, and he finally bought some Star Trek Adventure stuff. There were pictures of him on Twitter with the tricorder box set, the wearable version of Star Trek Adventures. So I hope someday he posts that he played it. I'd love to hear what the games are. I know that he posts a lot about the D&D sessions, but come on, Star Trek guy, I want to see the Star Trek Adventure stuff. And I gotta tell you, when you start posting or when you do play Star Trek Adventures, I hope you post about it, and I'll probably be exploding that comment section there with tons of questions like, "Well, what did you encounter? What's your character like? Oh, what did you roll?"
You know what? There we go. That's a promise. I will post
Please.
as soon as I play. I will post.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Yeah, looking forward to it. And I know a lot of Star Trek Adventures fans also would just explode seeing you hyping up the game that we all love so much. But I do want to mention one other thing again. Before we go, I don't want to take too much of your time because you got a whole beautiful day ahead of you. I mean, I just got the darkness of night here, so you gotta get busy over there. I want to keep you, but you also have written a couple books of your own.
I
Have you
have,
not?
yes.
And do you plan to write any more?
I do. Well, that's always the plan.
Okay.
So any writer will know this feeling of like, oh, the odds. Of course, I plan to write more. It's like, all right, Sean. So when are you going to do it? Da 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 da. We won't worry about that question. No. But yes, because writing's easy. You just you just sit down and slam your forehead against the keyboard until a book comes out. And but for all of it, there's a reason we do it. It's therapeutic. And I feel like I'm ready for therapy.
There you go. There you go. I read Shadows in the Stars, and
oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and as a Star Trek Adventures person, I could see easily turning the concept into an adventure for Star Trek Adventure. It was such a good mystery, and it's kind of chilling. It's kind of creepy. Like, what is happening on this spaceship, and then later, or a space station, and then later on the ship? I was really intrigued. So
oh, thank you so much.
I do. I haven't had the time to get to the other one, which I think was actually your first book. Oh God, I think I wrote Down to the Bridge. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. And I hope if and when you do get to it, I hope you enjoy it. That was a labor of love because, I'm very proud of it. Don't get me wrong, but every single mistake you can make, I think I made several times over. And that took me like something like 4 years.
Oh wow.
But a lot of that was Sean, do you remember 2 months ago when you were writing a book? Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I must go back and do that. Yeah. Because another thing I'm sure many writers will be like, kind of like, oh yeah, that whole, you sit down to start a project and suddenly you notice the leaking tap. And you're like, oh, there's a scuff on the floor over there. I better sand and varnish all of the floors in the house,
You'll get back to the writing, though. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Once that's done, yeah.
Be fine. Yeah, living in, this pristine remodeled apartment, and you're kind of like, Sean, I only asked you to write a chapter. Oh, right. Yeah, no, I'll mow the lawn.
Yeah, of course. Step by step, eventually you'll get to it. But I do plan 100%. to. I do want to get to that one too. But yeah, I do recommend also anyone listening or watching this, check out the books. I can tell you though, with Shadows in the Stars, if you're a Star Trek Adventures GM, it'll be easy to see how you could pull a concept like that and fit it into. And you could tell reading it, you're a Star Trek fan. There's enough of a feel like, yes, this guy loves his Star Trek, as you're establishing the scene. It's not a copy of Star Trek at all, but you can tell there's a love of Star Trek behind the words on there.
You're so kind. You're so kind. Because I mean, like, you're right. It was kind of like, every now and again you have to kind of catch yourself being like, no, hang on, Sean, you're literally writing the plot of Threshold. Or you're like, you can't do that. You have to go and come up with your own ideas. You could be inspired by, and then but yes, the Trekkies will absolutely see, like, he's seen a bit of Star Trek in his time.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It shines through. But I do recommend it to people, and if you do write something else, please let us know, and we will advertise it here. But Seán, I do want to thank you. You gave us an hour of your time, and we are eternally grateful here. Is there anything else, one final message you would like to share with the audience? Anything you want to encourage them to do, like go to TrekCulture and check out what's there, or anything?
Well, you're very kind. Thank you. Yes, please, everyone, check out TrekCulture. We have so much stuff coming over the next while, because obviously we're going to go into a lull of new episodes of Star Trek for a while. We've 2 episodes of Lower Deck season 4 left, and then it'll be, I'm not sure what's coming first, Discovery season 5 or now Prodigy season 2, thanks to Netflix. But we'll have it'll at least be 2024. So, sorry, what I mean is that we have a lot of content coming in that gap. We're going to be doing our ups and downs of older episodes. We have heard you. Trust me, we're doing it. We're doing it. So, that's coming as well. Lots of lists, and then and other things too. But I suppose the most important thing I just want to say to everyone at the moment is just be good to each other. I mean, if there's one thing Star Trek is absolutely incredible for, it's that bright idea of a future, that future where we got it together, where where we made it work. But that there's no magic reset button. There's no and there's no TikTok filter. And let's skip to the good part. Unfortunately, we can't do that much as we would love to.
Sadly.
So the only way to do that is just be good to each other, and treat people the way you'd like to be treated. And you never know how far a kind word goes. And I think it is there are things happening at the moment of which maybe an individual has very little control over. But what we can control is how we present ourselves and how we treat others around us. And if we try and make that the best thing we possibly can, if enough of us do that, we'll get there.
That's beautiful, Seán. That's probably the greatest thing that's ever been spoken on this channel here. So, my God, thank you so much for that. And words to take to heart, words to live by. Thank you for bringing not just your Star Trek wisdom, your Star Trek enthusiasm, but a beautiful soul to share with the audience here. Thank you very much. And please,
thank you. You're so kind.
Come back anytime. And I'll be constantly seeing you on YouTube, so it feels like you never go away. But come back here anytime. All right. Let me wrap this up. I took too much of your time, but thank you, Seán, so much for giving your time and sharing all this Star Trek love with us, with the audience. And that's it for today. Thank you. As I say, you're all part of the Star Trek family. We're all friends. We're all family together. Stay safe out there. Live long and prosper. Peace and long life.